Hello, everyone. Okay, so I should be live, but there we go. Sorry. First few seconds sometimes has that little bit of an issue as it's getting everything connected between my software. Welcome, everybody. Today is day 724 of the illegal invasion of Ukrainian territory by the terrorist state known as the Russian Federation. Oh, perfect. And I'm loud and clear. Awesome, awesome. Let me keep my volume controls open too so I can monitor. Yeah, I'll be having an upgrade pretty soon on audio equipment, which will hopefully make it a more streamlined process in the future. All right. Welcome, everybody. So yeah, a lot has happened today. A lot has happened this entire week, and we're going to cover all of it. First things first, I have here on the screen the current progress on our fundraiser. I'm sure many of you, if you're reading the title of this video, are aware that Avdiivka is in a pretty precarious situation currently. And we continue our fundraiser to assist the brave defenders of Avdiivka during these difficult times. So we have currently fundraised of the remaining amount 13,886 hryvnia of 1,936,000. Now, the situation in Avdiivka is as such that, as many of you are aware, there is currently a strategic withdrawal and evacuation from the city of soldiers and civilians. So I'm keeping in contact with Anton and with the rest of my contacts on the ground there in the Avdiivka area. And as soon as I have more information from the 110th, I'll be sure to let you guys know about their current status. It is pretty bad, guys. Busy is an understatement. It's a lot of fighting, ammunition shortages, and doing their best to, well, just doing their best to continue the fight and hold the lines so that their brothers can live to fight another day. We're gonna continue to cover that. Let me make this a little bit bigger later on in the stream as we continue our reporting. There we go. That's a little bit better, a little bit bigger. Oh, jeez. I guess it's actually about the size I can get it for now without it being... Yeah, okay. We'll leave it like that for right now. In any case, all right. We're going to move on to the first piece of news related to Avdiivka, and I'm putting the article in the chat as usual. This is an article from AP News, and we will go through it together. All right. AP News. Here we go. All right. So, sharing. All right. Ukraine's Zelensky warns of an artificial deficit of weapons after withdrawal from Avdiivka. Reporting from Munich with AP. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky warned allies Saturday that an artificial deficit of arms for his country risks giving Russia breathing space, highlighting the need for artillery and long-range weapons after his military chief said he was withdrawing troops from the eastern city of Avdiivka. Zelensky spoke to the Munich Security Conference, an annual gathering of security and foreign policy officials. Ukraine is back on the offensive against Russia in the nearly two-year-old war, hindered by low ammunition supplies and a shortage of personnel. Ukrainians have proven that we can force Russia to retreat, he said. We can get our land back, and Russian President Vladimir Putin can lose. And this has already happened more than once on the battlefield. Our actions are limited only by our strength, he added, pointing to the situation in Avdiivka. Ukrainian Commander Colonel General Oleksandr Syrskyi said early Saturday that he was withdrawing troops from the city where outnumbered Ukrainian defenders battled a Russian assault for 4 months to avoid encirclement and save soldiers' lives. So, yeah, the situation is one where Ukraine is needing to shift from an offensive to a defensive posture in terms of strategy and tactics. So right now, unlike a few people I've seen writing about this online have said, why is it not like Bakhmut? Why not attrit Russian forces as much as possible? Well, the situation is very different now. Unfortunately, the Avdiivka has been encircled. Staying to fight to the last man is not the smart move. It's it's a situation where the Russians are willing to sacrifice tens of thousands of lives, or another 100,000 to take Avdiivka. And the loss on the Ukrainian side would also, unfortunately, be rather high. So, because of that, it is better to tactically withdraw. All right. Our actions are limited only by our strength, he added, pointing to the situation in Avdiivka. Ukrainian Commander Colonel General Oleksandr Syrskyi said early Saturday that he was withdrawing troops from the city where outnumbered Ukrainian defenders battled a Russian assault for 4 months to avoid encirclement and save soldiers' lives. Dear friends, unfortunately, keeping Ukraine in the artificial deficit of weapons, particularly in deficit of artillery and long-range capabilities, allow them to adapt to the current intensity of the war, Zelensky said. The self-weakening of democracy over time undermines our joint results. The president said that the troop withdrawal was a correct decision and emphasized the priority of saving soldiers. He suggested that Russia has achieved little, adding that it has been attacking Avdiivka with all the power that they had since October and lost thousands of soldiers. That's what Russia has achieved. It's a depletion of their army. We're just waiting for weapons that we're short of, he added, pointing to a lack of long-range weapons. That's why our weapon today is our soldiers, our people. Yeah, so exactly. I mean, people are, the lives of people are the most important, and people are, of course, incredibly important. People, Ukrainian people are the ones who will win this war. So you have to do a cost-benefit analysis, a military cost-benefit analysis, and it is more beneficial to the Ukrainian military to follow through with this withdrawal at this time. Let's see. We'll go through the rest of this article. Speaking alongside European and other officials later Saturday, Ukrainian Foreign Minister Dmytro Kuleba said that all of us need much more artillery ammunition, and stressed that production must be ramped up. He said that drones became a real part of the game. They will solve some problems, but they will not replace artillery ammunition. Zelensky on Friday went to Berlin and Paris, where he signed long-term bilateral security agreements with Germany and France, following a similar agreement with Britain last month. Ukraine's European allies are appealing to the U.S. Congress to approve a package that includes aid for Ukraine, $60 billion that would go largely to U.S. defense entities to manufacture missiles, munitions, and other military hardware for the battlefields in Ukraine. The package faces resistance from House Republicans. And this is an important point. If you happen to be an American listening and you have been joining us in our campaign to contact congressmen, this is an important talking point. Let them know that the money that's spent for Ukraine would be going to U.S. entities manufacturing in the U.S. It creates American jobs. It also assists a nation who is an ally to defend their sovereignty. It also creates a situation where if you're speaking to someone who would be receptive to this information, Ukraine can halt some of the horrific atrocities that have been enacted upon the people of Ukraine by Russia, such as kidnapping of Ukrainian children to Russia and the brutal oppression and persecution of citizens who live under occupation, Ukrainian citizens living under occupation by the illegal occupation. Let me emphasize that, by the Russians. Asked whether it would be a good idea to invite, excuse me, former U.S. President and 2024 presidential hopeful Donald Trump to Kyiv, Zelensky replied, "I invited him publicly, but it depends on his wishes. If he will come, I'm ready even to go with him to the front line," he added. U.S. President Kamala Harris said after meeting Zelensky later Saturday in Munich that it is in the strategic interest of the United States to continue our support. History shows us if we allow an aggressor like Putin to take land with impunity, they keep going. The other would-be aggressors then become emboldened, Harris said. She said that we must be unwavering and we cannot play political games. That is true. I was in a conversation with someone just the other day, and there are at least a half dozen other countries around the world who are seeing the situation and assessing if they should begin invasions of their neighbors over various different things that have to do with their own interests outside of Ukraine. So, yeah, exactly. I agree completely with that. More needs to be sent to Ukraine to deter all of that. Standing next to Harris, Zelensky told reporters that the aid package stuck in Congress is vital. It would provide a step forward for Ukraine, and moving forward is much, much better than stagnation on the battlefield, he said, stressing that Kyiv is counting on the U.S. to remain a strategic partner. Also at the conference, NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg said Congress delay has meant the flow of U.S. weapons and ammunition dropped, with a direct impact on the front line. Every week we wait means that there will be more people killed on the front line in Ukraine, he said. Estonian Prime Minister Kaja Kallas, whose country might be Kaja Kallas. My apologies, I actually haven't learned the pronunciation of her first name. Whose country directly borders Russia, pointed to the history of the 1930s. If America isolates itself, it eventually is going to cost you more, she said, warning that if aggression pays off somewhere, it serves as an invitation to use it elsewhere, jeopardizing global security. German Chancellor Olaf Scholz, whose country is Ukraine's second biggest military supplier after the US, renewed his call for other European countries to step up with more deliveries and pointed to America's military aid since the war began. A comparable effort must be the least that every European country also does, he says. So yeah, a lot to unpack there. Wanted to go through the whole article. We're also going to move over to, we're not going to read the whole thing. We'll read one more article on this topic, part of it, and we'll go over some video updates, both from the 110th Mechanized Brigade, who we've been supporting in Ukraine, and also from a friend of the channel, because he did an update. He's been very active at the front lines, and we'll get to that momentarily. Right quick, let me just say hello to everyone. I see Anna, KKSGG, Armand, CZ, the Carpathian, Mark Sangamon, Amonsky Amarsky, Sam Parker, and if I keep scrolling up, I'm sure I'll see many, more names. So Andreas, welcome everybody. Appreciate you all being here. Oh, and before I forget, because I probably will, I'm turning the QA on for anyone who wants to ask questions. So, 1 second. And there we go. Ooh, I do see a question here right quick before we get back to the article. Did I watch the Orban speech? Yes. No, wait. I'm sorry. I was doing a lot of research the other day because of everything that's happening in Hungary. I heard that he had made a speech. I was looking over a lot of articles. I was actually on the Hungarian internet a lot yesterday, and it was as bad as you would think, guys. You start looking things up in Hungarian, and it becomes a lot like Fox News in America, really fast, everywhere. Just, of course, in Hungarian. I haven't seen it yet, but I do plan to watch it. Maybe we could watch excerpts of it here. It would be on the fly, and I don't want to risk some news channel, especially a Hungarian one, trying to copyright claim the channel. In any case, I'm aware of the nature of the protests and how ardently people are protesting against him. But yeah, if you have some details you want to share, feel free to put them in the chat. I'm gonna be watching his speech later today to, I guess, to analyze it a bit. All right, going back to Avdiivka though. Yeah, so America isolating itself more and more, or the threat of American isolation from certain factions, it's helping to contribute to this issue. So I really do, not just hope, I'm actively working to make sure that the United States, everything within my power to make sure the US doesn't go down that road, because that's not going to be good for anybody. And Ukraine needs this aid package, not just from the US, but from several other allies as well. But the US is, of course, one of the biggest, absolutely one of the biggest. So, yeah, the situation is one where we will continue to support the troops in Avdiivka. Give us links and we'll look on our own time. I don't know which links you're referring to. If you mean for the Orban speech. But in any case, any links for the articles we're going over in this stream are in the description. And yeah, feel free, guys, if you have some useful links. Yeah, if you have useful links, feel free to share them. We don't have a whole lot of trolls or anything at this time in the channel, so not too worried about links in the chat. But yeah, in any case, let's go ahead and continue on. We're just going to cover a little bit from this one, but actually, we'll come back to the article in a moment. We're going to go ahead and go over to a video right now. First and foremost, before anything else, I'm going to show you guys a video update from the 110th Mechanized Brigade. Oh, I see. The news from Hungary that I was looking up the other day. Yeah, I could probably pull up a little bit of it. Yeah. I'll come back to that in a minute because we're in the middle of the stream, but I'll put some of that in the chat later. In any case, we're going to have a video update right now from Avdiivka. Let me pull it up. All right. And so this is in relation to, if y'all recall, we did close out a fundraiser. We have one fundraiser, that's one bar, the yellow bar that you see right now, for the 110 FPV drones that are going to the 110th Mechanized Brigade. We have sent 15 of those drones so far. And given the situation in Avdiivka, how that fundraiser progresses in the weeks to come, I'll be sure to let you guys know exactly what we're going to be doing with that and how those funds that we get are going to assist Ukrainian soldiers. But the other fundraiser that we closed, if you recall, we had one for 2 anti-drone guns. That was closed. The anti-drone guns were supplied to the 110th Mechanized Brigade, and there also are the remaining funds for that fundraiser because it was originally 220,000 hryvnia. It paid for the 2 anti-drone guns, and then there was extra funds that were originally planned to be used for extra additional batteries for those 2 anti-drone guns. But Anton spoke with some of the leadership of the 110th Mechanized Brigade, and he was informed, we appreciate it, that would be great, but what's a bigger priority for us right now are devices that can help to protect our guys, protect our vehicles from enemy drones. It was made by the officer in charge of electronic warfare for the brigade. Let's see here. Here we go. Yeah, and I've also got a couple of videos. So basically, these are current converters that connect to a car's 12-volt cigarette lighter, the outlet, and it can convert them into 24 volts. The complex can then work continuously when the engine is on, and these converters can help ensure the operation of electronic warfare equipment on the battlefield if the enemy tries to disrupt them. And I do see questions coming in on the chat. Moderators who might, I think we have Tone and we have Anna here. Yeah, and I'm not sure if Anhil is here today, but mods, yeah, if you can just catch those and put them in the Discord, I will take a look at them when I get back around to questions. But basically, these converters help to ensure the operation of Ukrainian electronic warfare equipment that the enemy otherwise would attempt to disable. So let's watch this video. Let me know if the audio is good or if it ends up a little choppy. I hope it does not. We shall see.
Hi guys, these are components for Hi guys, these are components for the
Oh, you guys don't see the video? It says here it should be visible. Okay, hold on a second. Let me take a look. Okay, hold on a second. Because YouTube is being annoying regarding showing me the live feed. So let me fix this and take a look. Now you guys do see? Okay, all right, good. Yeah, I'm able to confirm that on my side too. Okay, now I'll go ahead and play it.
Hi guys, these are components for the Hi guys, these are components for the
You have to be kidding me. All right, well, you guys probably see it and hear it, but for some reason, and this is why I'm changing my software configuration a little bit, it is not wanting to play. So,
Hi guys,
one more
these
time.
are components for the
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
These
Oh, no audio at all? Sound is cutting off? Yeah, okay. Let's see.
Hi guys, these are components for the
Okay, we're going to go ahead and unfortunately, I guess we're going to have to come back to that because of Restream being the way it's being this morning. But This will be posted today on the channel. So this particular video showing the converters, you'll be able to find that on the channel posted as a video. Basically, this is what they look like. And I also have some pictures that I can show you. So let me pull those up right now. All right, and here we go. I'm going to go ahead and show you guys the image right quick. All right, so this is what they look like when they're set up. These are the current converters. And I also have an example I can show you of what they look like when they are attached to a vehicle. So let me pull that image up. Basically, the way that this works is just like this image that you see now. This is a vehicle looks like when these current converters are attached to it. And yeah, basically you can say that this is a means of providing protection for Ukrainian equipment, electronic warfare equipment that is being transported on vehicles. So these have been purchased. These are being utilized by the 110th Mechanized Brigade over who are serving over in Avdiivka. And this is an example of a vehicle that, as you can see, it's a little beat up. It's gone through quite a bit. Okay. Wait, is the audio choppy right now? Or is it better? Let's see. Oh, the audio is cutting? Okay. That tells me I need to do something right quick then. All right. Let me make adjustments to fix that. In any case, if you can hear me now, this is an example of the converter on one of the vehicles. All right. Okay, let's see. All right, so the next thing we're going to do then is we're going to shift over and take a look at the situation in Avdiivka some more with friend of the channel, Greg Terry, one of his videos, and his his video is in the link to his video we're about to watch is in the description of this video, and I'll go ahead and put it in chat too. All right. And let's take a look at this.
Good day, everyone, and welcome to Ukraine. We're coming today with not the best news, but as you know, we try to tell you the truth. So Zhenya's out getting some things done right now. I'm working on stuff for a stream tonight, and we just need to talk 6-7 minutes about Avdiivka. Let's do this first, and then we've got a couple of videos that we're able to show you. But let me do this first. If you do not know, this is the location of Avdiivka. And I trust this map the most, the Institute for the Study of War. The gold is the Russian advancements. The red is actually the location of the coke plant, which is huge, similar to the story of Azovstal in Mariupol. And basically, the city is cut off, surrounded. Our guys are there, trapped. That's where we're at. Zhenya, what's the latest?
Okay. I don't know what kind of news you heard. Situation is like that. Our guys continue trying to save. I mean, we're doing it and maybe do. Trying to keep connections with the guys. So some guys are trapped there. Couldn't evacuate. Wounded. A lot did, a lot couldn't. Because there is this pinch, I would say, the corridor of just like about 400 meters, something like that, from two sides, and this is the only way. And how guys can get in or out, and tens and tens and tens of vehicles, Ukrainian Vox, are there and destroyed, and situation is bad, and we'll not go there deep. Our guys trying to let's say to create the positions, because some were done a little bit, but a lot of things right in this moment.
So let me
takes a lot to
let me
explain
ask you
it.
let me ask you the question simply.
Yeah.
We're basically trapped there. We have lost.
I mean,
yeah,
some group.
We've lost guys and we've wounded guys.
Yes.
We've lost, which cannot be evacuated. We've lost vehicles, quite a number.
Yes.
Okay.
And we lost positions, and let me finish my thought. So our
Pause that for a second. So yeah, as Greg and Zhenya are both saying here, as mentioned earlier, it is a pretty critical situation. There have been losses on the Ukrainian side. Of course, there have been many losses on the Russian side as well. But yeah, it's one where Greg and Zhenya are both pretty aware of this, given their work inside of Ukraine.
our guys doing non-stop to creating, let's say, enforcing the positions, new positions. And I want to add this. This is the war, and surely we talk about our part. A lot of enemies were killed, let's say, because we fight on our territory for our territory, and so occupiers were eliminated. A lot of loss. Our heroes who could do it, they preparing. Nobody is quitting. Nobody is, giving up. they are heroes. Then a lot of work for medics now, and I want to enter this. This is war, and the thing which could help us big time, artillery, promised artillery shells of promised by other countries, F-16 or other jets could stop the worst problem for Ukrainian army there. It's gliding bombs. We don't have it, and we were expecting, we were asking it 2 years, not one. Okay, it could help. We cannot make it something like that. This is why our guys were doing it and will be doing it. And let me do like this. I'm not a pessimistic now. We will be losing more positions. Don't be surprised. Ukraine will be losing, and by losing I mean they will be hoping that there will be countries who will hear us and help in time. Until that, we will do what we can do, and we will be fighting, and our priority will be save the lives of our guys. So in case of need, it can be, I mean, the picture can be like we're losing positions, we moving, retreating, maybe will be, this is the war. Our goal, protect our civilians and protect our military first. Protect, I mean, save lives. They will be fighting. And I hope there is still time then when needed, like oxygen, help will come. But don't be surprised about the changes, and don't be disappointed, because sometimes it's active defense when the goal is to eliminate as much more enemy, and during that active defense.
Okay, so let me.
Before we listen to Greg's response, yeah, Zhenya has a very good point here. Guys, it's currently a defensive posturing that is being shifted to until more supplies can be both produced in Ukraine and, of course, provided from strategic allies. So, yeah, if you do see a few more things, small settlements or villages, towns that end up under occupation over the next few weeks, yeah, don't lose hope. Ukraine, I have faith in the Ministry of Defense that the Ukrainian Armed Forces, their strategy is one that will allow them to make it through these very difficult times of resource scarcity on the battlefield, and then come back strong once they have the supplies they need provided by allies. Yeah, the war will continue, and we will stand with Ukraine. All right, let's listen to a bit more of this, and then we will go to one more article, and then we're going to move on to additional topics.
Let me show a couple of videos here, and I'll comment, and then we'll be done. Guys, we are recording this at 1:05 p.m. Ukraine time. So wherever you're at and when I watch this, you're seeing the most up-to-date news, not from Telegram, not from Twitter, not from CNN. There it is, 1306. This is what's happening right now. We get the information directly from there. So here's this one. Zhenya is talking about losing positions, building new positions. I did not voice this. I'll play it, then you translate it, Zhenya.
Ребята, работаем, готовим позицию, снова позиция. С отличной работой. Будем работать и победим. По-любому. Slava Ukraini.
We
All
will
right.
have a victory.
No,
Glory to Ukraine.
I just let his audio play for those that understand.
Okay.
So what did he say?
Okay. He said, keep working. We do keep working, creating new positions non-stop. Soon it will be good positions. We'll accomplish it. And in any way, we're not giving up. Anyway, the victory will be for Ukraine, and glory to Ukraine.
Exactly. We're reporting. Now, I want to show this video, and Janie's got to go. He's so active, so we can get on the road and get over there and help those guys. Here is some drone footage permitted to share of the Avdiivka plant, the coke plant. No music. It's not worthy. It's not a film. So there, that's looking at the coke plant. You see it burning and just panning around there. Losses, as we've talked about, lost equipment. The guys are heroes. They're hanging on. Some are trapped. And then it's the similar feel to the Azovstal siege in Mariupol. And no question, it's worse than Bakhmut. Yes, we lost guys in Bakhmut. Yes, Bakhmut is level to the ground, basically. And so it is and will be Avdiivka. But we never had guys trapped, for the most part, in Bakhmut. That's the difference.
That's it. We continue to fight all the way. I'm proud of Ukrainian soldiers.
100%.
That's the truth. With that situation we have, with that amount of supply, with that of helping, support, they doing more than 100%.
Now,
And,
the last thing, go ahead.
Yeah.
The last thing we're going to share and be done, because this is the purpose of this update, is the stabilization point there in Avdiivka. We do have permission to share this. It is a little tight. I have blurred the worst areas, but I'm just telling you,
Second. Я в эфире, наберу 5
No
минут.
problem. I don't want the channel taken off the air. I want us to be able to continue to not only show you the love and work that we're all doing together to help Ukraine, but also give you the truth and not listen to these other bots all over the world who think they know what's going on. So here is what I can show you.
All right, we're going to move on to that and finish this video in 1 sec. Just want to say a lot of appreciation for Greg and Zhenya and the work that they both do to help Ukraine. They do a lot. So I'm going to finish the video. While I'm doing so, I'm going to be putting the link directly to his channel and Greg's website as well in the chat for you guys to check out.
А куда те ленивые?
Що йому робили ці препарати?
Там може вже не така затекла.
And this is why our aid is critical. Really nothing else to say. This is Avdiivka today, February the 17th, 2024, 1:11 p.m. in Ukraine. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.
Yeah, and I know that might be a little hard to watch for a lot of you guys. It is hard to watch. But that's the reality of the situation. We can't look away from it. Of course, we have some things blurred because of YouTube auto moderation and censorship from the platform, so we can share it with you guys without the video being taken down. But yeah, that's just a small glimpse into what it is like. Every day that this aid that could be helping save Ukrainian lives is withheld, it unfortunately is exacerbating the issue. Ukraine does not have a limitless pool of personnel, of people in general from their population. And one of the important things early on in this war was keeping Ukrainian casualty rate low relative to Russian casualty rate. And a big part of what makes that possible is having a healthy supply chain and sufficient, not just munitions, but advanced equipment, vehicles, tanks, drones, weaponry that makes a difference on the battlefield. Some of it's super expensive, some of it is dirt cheap and can still be incredibly useful against various other enemy systems, both inexpensive and very expensive. So this is a war where our grassroots efforts can make a difference, but of course, those multi-billion-dollar aid packages, we need to see them go through. If you are an American, and I want to emphasize this, citizen or non-citizen resident, because people don't know this, even if you're not a citizen, residents in the U.S. have a right to do this as well, a legal right for your voice to be heard, as long as you're just saying that you are a constituent. Then call your representatives wherever you are from or wherever you live in the United States, and urge them to assist Ukraine. Same goes for other countries as well. If you happen to be from somewhere other than the US, if you're Canadian, if you're European, I know many people, I've talked to people in those countries who say, does it really make a difference? I've talked to Americans who say the same thing. It makes a difference, guys. So please be sure to do so. After the stream today, we're going to have a call on Discord. We're going to be making calls to US congressmen and EU parliament members, emails and calls. So please feel free to join us. And I'll put a link to that in the description as well. All right. Now then, let's go ahead and move on to a little bit more from one more article on Avdiivka, and then we will go on to additional news. And we're just going to go over part of this article for time, because we're only on the stream for about 2 hours. This is from Reuters. All right. So, Ukrainian troops withdraw from Avdiivka. Military faces ammunition shortage. Smoke rises near the Avdiivka coke and chemical plant in the town of Avdiivka in the course of the Russia-Ukraine conflict, as seen from Yasinovataya in the Donetsk region, Russian-controlled Ukraine. February 15th, 2024. Ukraine forced to abandon eastern bastion of Avdiivka. Kiev facing critical shortages of artillery rounds. Army chief says withdrawal aims to prevent encirclement, and move paves way to Russia's biggest gains since May of 2023, unfortunately. Kiev, February 17th. Sorry. Yeah, this is, sorry, February 17th. Above was earlier for an image that I don't have shown here, in case it's a copyright image. Ukrainian troops withdrew from the devastated eastern town of Avdiivka, Kiev's military chief said on Saturday, paving the way for Russia's biggest advance since it captured the city of Bakhmut last May. The pullback, announced as Ukraine faces acute shortages of ammunition with U.S. military aid delayed for months in Congress, aimed to save troops from being fully surrounded by Russian forces after months of fierce fighting, Kiev said. Colonel General Oleksandr Siersky, who took command of the Ukrainian military in a major shakeup last week, said Ukrainian forces had moved back to more secure positions outside the town, which had a pre-war population of 32,000. I decided to withdraw our units from the town and move to defense from more favorable lines in order to avoid encirclement and preserve the lives and health of servicemen, he was quoted as saying in an armed forces statement. Nearly 2 years since Russia's full-scale invasion, the withdrawal is the clearest sign yet of how the tide of the war has turned in Moscow's favor, sadly. After a Ukrainian counteroffensive failed to break through Russian lines last year, the withdrawal was conducted according to plan, but some Ukrainian soldiers were captured by Russia in the final stages, Brigadier General Alexander Tarnavsky said, without specifying how many. So, yeah, guys, this had been mentioned before, I believe, but yeah, the withdrawal of Avdiivka has not been as clean as the withdrawal from Bakhmut, as an example. So there are definitely things to be learned here from what's happening right now on the battlefield. President Volodymyr Zelensky praised his troops for exhausting Russian forces in Avdiivka and said he agreed with the decision to withdraw in order to save lives. In a speech at the Munich Security Conference, Zelensky implored his Western allies to step up supplies of military aid and suggested the withdrawal was partly caused by a lack of weapons. Now the military will replenish. They will wait for the relevant weapons, of which there simply aren't enough, he said. Russia has long-range weapons, while we simply don't have enough. U.S. President Joe Biden warned earlier this week that Avdiivka could fall to Russian forces because of ammunition shortages, following months of Republican congressional opposition to a new U.S. military aid package for Kiev. So, yeah, and I'll let you guys go through the rest of the article yourselves if you wish. It's in the description and was posted in the chat. But basically, yeah, this is a sad day. What's happening in Avdiivka is horrible. Never should have happened. Wouldn't have happened if more aid could have been delivered faster. But we are working to make a difference and to reverse that tide. And we will be successful. With your help, we can be successful. Because we're taking this from multiple fronts. It's not just send money to this or that fundraiser. You know, if you want to help us with our fundraiser for Avdiivka, you know, the links are in the description. Please feel free to join us. If you are new and you're basically saying to yourself, I'm not certain. This is a channel on YouTube. Not sure exactly where the funds are going. We post updates weekly on our fundraiser status and pictures and videos, like we had earlier in the stream, on the YouTube channel, and also on our Discord. But more importantly, if you're still not convinced, I always include a link to United 24, and you can donate to them for assistance to the military through an official channel of the presidency in Ukraine. Or another thing, we really just need to get the word out. So if you don't have money to donate, share this video. Go to Greg's channel, share his video, call congressmen, engage on social media, especially getting the message out to anyone who is skeptical about aid to Ukraine. It does make a difference, and especially if you get linked up with organizations who are actively advocating and lobbying for Ukraine. All right. Now then, let's go ahead and halt this for now. Okay, we're just going to keep the progress bar up for a second. And here we go. All right, so the progress bar is up. I'm going to go to questions here in a moment. I'll just share one more thing from my screen. For anyone who wants to assist with our fundraiser, this is the monobank jar, which is the end goal destination for these FPV drones. And I'll put that link in the chat. If monobank doesn't work for you, then, also, I should have had this on from the very beginning. Then there's the PayPal information. If you search for Anton Tony Tkachenko 27@gmail.com on PayPal, donations can be made there. And finally, we also have Anton also has Buy Me a Coffee, so donations can be made there as well. And now I'm going to go ahead and move on. So we're going to go to the next piece of news. Actually, first we're going to answer questions, but I think one of the questions actually relates to the next piece of news, so the two will kind of tie in together. Oh, I just realized I don't think I have Anton's Buy Me a Coffee here in the description. Let me fix that. Okay, and that's been fixed. So if neither Monobank nor PayPal work for you, you can also use Buy Me a Coffee. Now we're going to answer questions. First, let's see, your question I see here from we'll say UPU 2004. Hello, everybody. I would like to ask about Navalny and Ukraine. What was Navalny's relation to independent Ukraine? I have an understanding that he, for example, didn't want Crimea to be returned to Ukraine. Yes. So this is a great question. And yeah, basically, the best way I can put it with Navalny, from what I have learned looking into the man, is I would not call him a friend to Ukraine. The man was very much interested in changing Russia. He had ties to, and I guess you could say, alliances with various different groups that oppose Putin in Russia. Both liberal and conservative by Western definitions of the terms, including Russian nationalist groups that are very controversial in and outside of Russia. When it comes to Crimea, actually, we might have an article we can pull up on this. Hold on. close. Yeah, and basically the whole story of Navalny, we aren't going to go through that, but the brief summary is the man opposed Putin. He was forced to leave Russia. He was an opposition figure outside of Russia for quite a while. Then he returned, was immediately arrested, and poisoned, and he had been sitting in prison ever since, basically just waiting for what happened, which was his slow and inevitable demise at the hands of the Kremlin, but in a way that gave the Kremlin very flimsy way of saying he just died of quote-unquote natural causes. Basically just a way to kind of move the pressure of his death off of them. To answer your question, let's go to... Here we go. I'll share a link right now from Euronews, an article. Oh, is it too long? Oh, it is too long. Okay, well, hold on. Oh, that's annoying. Okay. Well, then I will put it in the description. Yeah, okay. It'll be this. Let's see. There we go. And hold on. We're just going to, yeah, here we go. We'll just go to this portion of the article. Even in his opposition circles, Navalny was often seen as overly nationalistic in his support for the rights of ethnic Russians. That's immediately a bit of a red flag. Makes sense as a Russian politician, if you want to get anywhere, to have that messaging, because unfortunately Russian nationalism is a big part of Russian politics, just in general. But many have accused him of adopting an ambiguous position following Russia's illegal annexation of Crimea in 2014. Navalny repeatedly stated he didn't see a Ukrainian future for the region. Although he condemned the means of Putin's annexation of Crimea, he avoided saying in many interviews that it should be returned to the Ukrainians. Still, he was largely able to overcome the fallout from these statements through the power of investigations conducted by his anti-corruption fund. Yeah, and so this is kind of going into the reason why among Russians opposed to Putin and certain groups outside of Russia who tend to be pretty pro-Ukrainian. Nah, it's actually a lot of different groups, so I guess I shouldn't generalize like that. But the reason why certain Russians who oppose Putin, he really resonated with them, was mostly just the fact that Putin is so bad that even if Navalny had issues, he was seen as a better alternative, like a small step in a better direction. But regarding Ukraine specifically, can't really call the man an ally of Ukraine. And so some people have also asked me what would be the benefit, or what way can this benefit Ukraine, what's happened with Navalny? To be honest, I mean, it'll shake things up a little bit, maybe get a few Russians to protest, maybe get a handful more people to go join things like the, Freedom of Russia Legion or Russian Volunteer Corps, who fight alongside Ukrainian forces against the Russian military. But really, at the end of the day, I don't think it's going to directly cause anything huge. If it were going to do that, then it would have already occurred when he was arrested in the first place. So life goes on, sadly. Whatever your opinions of Navalny might be, at the end of the day, he is now gone, and the war continues. And many Ukrainians I have spoken to are not heartbroken about it. So that is the brief summary I can give from my experience having conversations with people. Oh, wait. The PayPal should be in the stream. You might need to refresh the page if you're not seeing it. But yeah, I did add the Buy Me a Coffee link, and also the PayPal donation. Well, with the PayPal donations, for anyone who's unaware, the reason why you see that little ticker that says search for this email for Anton in order to send the donations is because, to the best of my knowledge, from what I've been informed by a few people, is PayPal accounts in Ukraine can receive and send money, but PayPal did that under pressure because they were pressured to do that when the war happened. For a little while, that wasn't available at all. But PayPal kind of quietly only half acquiesced, complied with that petition that they were getting from users and from governments to open up PayPal for Ukrainians again. If you try to get a link, if you're a Ukrainian PayPal user, and put that link anywhere, or you try to do like stream alerts or something like that from inside of Ukraine to get news out, they just don't work. You'll get a message that says, apologies, but this functionality isn't available for users from your country, or something like that. So with PayPal, you have to actually go into the app and you have to search for the email, and then you're able to make a donation that way. With Buy Me a Coffee and Monobank, you can just click the links in the description to get to either of those. All right, now I'm not going to stay on Navalny too much more, but I want to see what effect this could have on aid to Ukraine, because he was known within circles everywhere, including in the U.S., including among U.S. Democrats and GOP, who had their own, sometimes very different perceptions of the man. Oh, hey, how you doing? James is here. Hey, what's up, James? American in Ukraine, which I know you've said your name on stream, so I think it's okay for me to say that. But yeah, hey man, thanks for popping in. See you next week. Thanks for all the work that you've been doing too, man. All right, now then, go over one more article. This is from The Hill, and this one will go over a little bit more because it more directly relates to what Navalny's death could mean for Ukraine aid. All right, and here we go. So, oh wait, oh hold on. Wait, is it working? There it goes. From The Hill. The Friday death of Russian opposition leader Alexei Navalny has cranked up the pressure on House GOP leaders to pass another round of aid to Ukraine to counter Moscow's aggression, amid allegations that an emboldened Russian president, Vladimir Putin, had a hand in Navalny's demise. Supporters of Kiev have argued for months that a failure of Congress to prop up the beleaguered U.S. ally would not only risk the fall of a sovereign Ukraine, but also send a signal to the world that Washington can't be relied upon to defend democracy in the face of belligerent autocrats. In the wake of Navalny's death, those warnings have become only more pronounced. The world is watching, and Putin must be punished. Representative Brian Fitzpatrick, Republican of Pennsylvania, in a statement, the U.S. Congress must pass aid to Ukraine to defend democracy because a thug like Putin won't stop and will murder anyone who stands in his way. President Biden was even more biting, admonishing House Republicans for leaving Washington on Thursday for a long 12-day recess without securing an agreement on new Ukraine aid. The failure to support Ukraine at this critical moment will never be forgotten. It's going to go down in the pages of history, Biden said at the White House. 2 weeks. What are they thinking? My God, this is bizarre, he continued. And it's just reinforcing all the concern and almost, I won't say panic, but real concern about the United States being a reliable ally. This is outrageous. I would say that I do agree with that. And it's not just Ukraine. It's also Israel, it's Taiwan, it's several other U.S. allies. It doesn't send a good message, especially since if the U.S. wants to actually be seen as a nation that would be willing to assist, say, Israel, who's surrounded on all sides by hostile nations and organizations across borders, or Taiwan, where they are literally right next door to a very large and very numerous aggressor. The U.S. needs to up its game. This doesn't send a good message. You want to be messaging that you can defend freedom and democracy, not that you're going to pull yourself into a shell and avoid interacting with the rest of the world and let someone else fill the vacuum. Because I don't know if the rest of you have been watching, but no one else who seems like they want to fill that vacuum looks like a good option. Not saying that the U.S. is perfect, because it absolutely is not. But if people complain about U.S. international foreign military policy, I hate to imagine how they would talk about Chinese or Russian foreign policy if either of those nations became much larger and more active all across the globe. Just saying. All right. The Senate passed a massive foreign aid package Tuesday, providing $60 billion for Ukraine, largely in weapons and other military supplies, amid warnings that Kyiv's forces are running out of ammunition to fight the invading Russian forces. The vote was a lopsided 70-29, with 22 Republicans supporting the bill. Yet Speaker Mike Johnson, Republican of Louisiana, has refused to consider it, arguing Congress shouldn't spend billions of dollars defending another country's borders unless it's already also ready to secure its own. He's demanding that any new Ukraine funds be accompanied by tougher anti-migrant policies at the U.S.-Mexico border. So we're all pretty familiar with this. This article really just delves into American politics pretty quickly after a brief mention of this, but yeah, at the end of the day, it's a talking point, and then I think there'll be another talking point next week. That's the gist of it, unfortunately. All right, so let's see here. All right, so that's where we're at right now as far as news goes. I know we had several more questions. I hope that answers the one that had been received about Navalny. Specifically regarding Crimea, yeah, he did say that he was ambiguous about it, but basically he didn't make a strong stance on it. Some would argue that was for survival in Russia, which didn't work. Others, I think more accurately, would just be made, it's just clear that he was not pro-Ukraine. That's what it comes down to. All right. Now then, next, let me go pull up Discord and take a look at our questions. Okay, So I already answered one about the Orban speech. I had not watched it yet. We're going to come back to that, and maybe we'll pull up a... I'll watch it later, and I'll give you guys my thoughts in a community post. How about we do that? Yeah, it is very sensitive, the media space right now in Hungary around this. I don't know if you guys are aware. I know several of the very few handful of media outlets that are critical of Orban inside of Hungary. And they have an international outreach. I mean, they have English language. Well, actually, no. For the most part, they don't have English language. That's part of the problem. Outreach in Hungary is not the best outside of Hungary, I have found. I don't know if that's intentional or if it's just a lack of awareness. But in any case, some of these channels that have already been basically de facto banned from airwaves in Hungary, like their accounts get hacked, their YouTube channels that used to allow live streams have, somehow been forced to, remove them, no longer have live streams. It's still an ongoing political battle. So yeah, I'll watch that, and I'll put my thoughts up in a community post, Armand. Thanks for asking. What are your thoughts about the use and adaptation of drones, both naval and aerial? Would you agree that Ukraine... Oh, from Carpathian. Would you agree that Ukraine is now a world leader in this technology sphere? Ooh, that's a very good question. Okay, as far as their use and adaptation in general, Ukraine's been doing a great job. They've definitely been innovative. They've, basically been at the front line of the on-the-fly R&D, the experimentation in new ways of utilizing military technology during an active war that, World War I, World War II, various other conflicts throughout the Cold War era. These kinds of instances of technological and organizational progression for militaries around the world, and just general fighting forces, armed forces. These things happen every couple of generations, and that's what we're seeing right now with drone warfare. I think they've done a great job with both. A lot of people focus on aerial drones, but I think most especially naval drones. They've done a fantastic job. Just look at the Black Sea Fleet of the Russians. It's not been good for them. I think they've lost a third of their navy. 30, like at least 25 ships, including major ones, flagships. It's not been good on the Russian side. It's also scared the hell out of other countries, realizing, there are a lot of small organizations, smaller than the country of Ukraine, out there who could get their hands on a bunch of drones, and we don't want our multi-billion-dollar frigates, battleships, aircraft carriers, all of those to actually sink to the bottom of the ocean. We gotta reevaluate our strategies and tactics for the future. I think that Ukraine is doing a great job. I think that they are becoming a world leader in the use of this technology, and definitely becoming a powerhouse in its R&D, research and development, its development. With regards to whether or not they're a full world leader, I think the potential is there once the Ukrainian economy is further stimulated. I think that when it comes to making inexpensive but still very effective drones, Ukraine is a world leader. When it comes to larger, more expensive ones, that like the equivalent of like a Bayraktar, for example, or others that are the size of an actual airplane when you think of a military drone. And now with advances in artificial intelligence that are having, basically being programmed to be much more sophisticated, so they can be remotely controlled or even do a few things completely autonomously on their own. I think Ukraine probably is doing work in that field, but I personally haven't seen yet anything that's been promoted or released from Ukrainian Ministry of Defense or government about drones like that. And that probably shouldn't be their focus right now anyway, because having something like that is fantastic when you have years and years to test it. You know, the more complex a system gets, the more years of testing you need for it to be reliable on the battlefield. I think that Ukraine could get to that point one day, but they're going to need all of our help to win this war first. When it comes to the FPV drones, when it comes to the drones that are a couple $100,000 each to produce, yes, Ukraine, I would say, is fast becoming a major leader in that category. Oh, Q&A isn't working for you, Sally? If the Q&A doesn't work, just at Tridents Against Tyrants and put it in the regular chat. If I don't see it, then one of the mods will catch it and put it in the Discord. And if you have any trouble doing so, mods, just let me know, and then I'll just know to, go and take a closer look. Yeah, there we go. Exactly. Effective simplicity is needed right now. Precisely. So that's where it stands on that topic. Nah, thank you for a great question. Next, from Taz, anti-drone devices like in Radarom fundraising kits. I'm not sure about the question. Are you asking if we're going to do them, if we're going to do a fundraiser for them? Are you asking if those devices are useful on the battlefield front lines? Let me see. Yes. Let's see. Hold on, let me check something real fast, everybody. Now, I can't recall off the top of my head, and I'm not going to go searching through every thread because, it'll take me a while. I can't remember if we discussed directly Rotorom for a fundraiser or not, but I do greatly appreciate the work that they've been doing. Fantastic work, and thank you for continuing to highlight them in the Discord. For anyone who isn't in our Discord, feel free to join. I'll put a link in the description. And yeah, basically, I guess as far as whether or not they're useful, their effectiveness, and the work that Rotorom itself in general is doing, yeah, I mean, I think that it's fantastic. From what I've seen, the work that they are doing has raised several million euros, which is fantastic. Let me do this. I'll go ahead and pull it up real fast so everyone can see this website, Taz, that I know you've been highlighting and very supportive of. So Here is the Rotorom website, everyone. Putting it into the chat. And also into the description. And I'll share my screen so you guys can see it real fast. All right. Here we go. Okay, so I'll go full screen. This is the Rotorom website, and this is a group from Lithuania. .lt. Yeah, Lithuanian. And there's Lithuanian language as an option. Let's protect Ukrainian soldiers. We can all help Ukrainian soldiers and protect those who defend their freedom and ours. You can make donations to them if you would like to. They have protected 408 Ukrainian soldiers and raised. They're pretty good size. They're very professional as a fundraising platform, as an organization raising money for Ukraine. 3,066,364 euros. So let's see. A lot of companies have contributed to their campaigns. They have a lot of official supporters doing initiatives for Ukraine. Lithuania as a whole, but very pro-Ukrainian. If we saw this kind of support and energy from other countries outside the box, from this large of an amount of support, it would be a game changer consistently over the course of this entire war. I mean, that level of support. Let's see. So I'm not seeing information here specifically about their kits, the anti-drone kits that you were mentioning, but yeah, I've been seeing the updates and I appreciate the work that they do, so thank you for sharing. All right, now then, let's go on to the next question. All right, from Cheryl Watley, excuse me. What is the message now? Discharge petition with regards to what should be said to representatives in the U.S. Congress? I've heard a few different people, with different perspectives on this. I would say don't do anything that makes it sound like, especially if when you call Speaker Johnson's office, people are taking different approaches. But here's the thing. He kind of has concern of being removed from his position from both sides, from both the anti-Ukraine, MAGA, pro-Trump side of the House Republicans, and then this discharge petition from those who are pro-Ukraine, from more moderate Republicans and Democrats of different leanings and factions. So House Democrats. So personally, first of all, please always be respectful to your representatives when you call them, even if you're emotional or concerned about the situation in Ukraine. Let them know how important the situation is. With Mike Johnson, unless you are from his district in the U.S., a citizen or non-citizen constituent in his district, then you could call him both as Speaker of the House and as your representative, voting member of the House. But for anyone else, if you're an American, the big thing is urging for the vote to take place in the first place. So when you call him, just let him know, I am an American. I recognize that this is an important issue for our country, that Ukraine get the aid that it need to maintain its sovereignty in this fight against Russian expansionism and defend their people. I wouldn't go into too many talking points about why it needs to be passed, because when you call the Speaker of the House, the point is introduce the vote. That is the primary focus. So you could go into reasons for why it should be introduced, or you could just make it quick and simple because he's getting a lot of calls. When you call your representative as your representative, there are a lot of different talking points for why it should be passed. It could be anything from this is important for, Ukrainian Ukraine winning this war is important for long-term national security of the US. It helps build confidence in allies. Failing to do so can damage US relations and confidence from other allies around the world, key democratic allies. It brings manufacturing jobs to the US because, majority of it is being used at factories, places in the US to make what's being sent to Ukraine. So it creates American jobs. But beyond all that, and two really big ones, I think, if you're speaking to someone who's MAGA or Ukraine skeptic specifically, would be mentioning that Ukrainian children have been kidnapped by the Russian military. Children have nothing to do with politics, nothing to do with war. Like, you talk to people who are just human, who are good people, about children being affected by this, they're going to listen. Because you can go into all the political talking points you want all day, but at the end of the day, the human aspect of what's happening to innocents in this war, that's something that needs to be brought to people's attention, and they need to be reminded of it. The other would be if they happen to be conservative or MAGA leaning, and you know that particular congressperson is rather religious, maybe links to evangelical political circles in the US, mention how this is affecting all Ukrainians, but also Ukrainian Christians, that there is a persecution or a targeting of Ukrainian Christians, members of Kiev, the Kiev Orthodox Patriarchate, and other churches in Ukraine. Whenever the Russians take over, it doesn't end well for churches in those areas, and that could get people's attention as well. These are a few things. I hope that answers your question. As far as the discharge petition goes, I'll leave it up to you. My understanding from my circles is we want to just keep making the calls and respectfully urging that the bill be presented and that the aid be delivered. Thank you for a great question. Next, from Mark Sangamon, someone prominent mentioned that support for the Moskvals on the left bank is about 30 to 35%. Does that make any sense to you? I might need more context. Let me see. So the Moskvals on the left bank is about 30 to 35%. Well, I mean, that makes sense if we're talking about. Are we talking about the Dnipro left bank? Let me see. Moskval is going to be a reference to the Russian soldiers, to Muscovites, to Moskvali. And let me look at a map right now. We've got a deep state. Also, we're going to switch over to the map because we've been talking about news and stuff so much that I just realized that we need to look at the situation on the ground, especially in Avdiivka. Moskva is about 30 to 35%. If you're talking about the left bank, like across in Kherson, I mean, no, that's Ukrainian controlled territory. So that bank, there wouldn't, if you mean like people there support them, the Russians, that would be incorrect. That'd be inaccurate to say. It sounds like a Russian talking point because they're, currently, unfortunately, taking Avdiivka and wanting to put pressure on the front line all around. It sounds like information warfare for domestic, justification in Russia to say, oh, there's so many people in the Ukrainian-held territory who want us to quote unquote liberate them. It sounds like Vatnik trolls and bot farms online working overtime to make the information landscape one that favors them domestically in Russia. But yeah. Without more context, I won't know for certain. So I hope that answers the question. I also would kind of probably need to know who the prominent person is who mentioned that and where they mentioned it. All right. Also, reminder, guys, if you're in our Discord, you can also ask your questions in the Discord. There's like a channel, and it literally says stream. Hold on. Yeah, stream questions. So you just click on stream questions in the Discord, and then you can type your questions there. So let's see. Oh, Sally. Okay, question from Sally. My question is about the discharge petition. How many reps need to vote for discharge? I'm wondering how many people we need to change their minds and how likely it is. I don't want to make a comment one way or the other because it, how do I put this? Because I don't want to be, putting out assumptions into the information space online. But I've heard mixed signals from a couple different people. But what I've heard from a few people in DC is if it gets introduced, it'll likely be passed, which is why urging Mike Johnson to introduce the bill is such an important part. Now, whether that's true or not, I actually don't know. It could also be psyop. It could be a situation where, people who are pro-Ukraine are very convinced that's the fact, but if it got introduced too early right now, maybe it wouldn't pass. I don't know. What I can say is this. Even though there is pushback from House Republicans, the MAGA House Republicans are still just a minority. There's more of them there than in the Senate, but they don't hold all the power. They're a spoiler. They're a spoiler group, basically, blocking things, pushing to oust speakers, stuff like that when they don't get their way. And they are just like every other politician, subject to politicals and approaches. So if the vote gets introduced, I think that it will pass. The issue is just getting it to the floor. And the problem, again, is that we have to figure out, okay, who's bluffing and who has the actual cards, the actual successful approach to pressuring Mike Johnson when it comes to this. Because he's even publicly stated, we will not be pressured to introduce the vote, earlier than it needs to be. I believe he said that earlier this week or last week. He's getting it from both sides to introduce it or not to introduce it. The real question just comes down to, if he doesn't introduce it, will the discharge petition be successful? If he does introduce it, would House Republicans looking to remove him from office, would they be successful? Like with McCarthy. So for him, it's kind of a rock and a hard place. I would say, yeah, I would say the best way to go about it is to get plugged in with political groups or networks that are actively in Washington, D.C. and have a good pulse on the situation. I'm involved with a couple of them. If you have an interest in that, DM me on Discord. We can chat. We can see, discuss thoughts. And if you would like to, I can see about possibly introducing you to a few people. Yeah, DM me and we'll talk more. Oh, mathematically, is there a certain number or percentage that are needed? Oh, I see. Sorry. I think I missed that part of your question. Okay. Let me see. Hey, Greg. Good to see you. Yeah, see you on the shows in a bit. Thanks for coming. I hope I'm not being too loud. I just realized I was raising my voice into the mic. Thanks, Greg. Good to see you, man. All right. Okay, discharge petitions. A discharge petition has to reach 218 members. Without going into too much detail, my sources tell me it's pretty close to that. It's still a little up in the air, but it's, it's in that ballpark. So, yeah, I mean, even just one or two people, guys, which is of course the minimum, one person being, converted or rather convinced to sign on to the discharge petition, Republican or Democrat, could make all the difference when it's that close. So I don't have a definitive number, but I would say if it is that close, I mean, even just somewhere between 1 to 3 congressmen convinced to assist with this could make a difference. So yeah, keep calling. Don't do anything that scares congressmen off to think that they shouldn't sign on to the discharge petition. But yeah, I would say that it is something that could be quite effective. Just be aware that when you mention that to congressmen, that a discharge petition might be introduced, they listen to everyone's comments. So the reason why I'm not saying, yeah, go, say this, say that, is because you really want to sit and think about it for a second. Maybe that's going to kind of be intimidating and make them think, yeah, both from constituents and from my peers, I'm kind of hearing this, and it's looking a little like, with Mike Johnson, it would be intimidating for him, but for someone to sign on to it, it's like, yeah, maybe this is something that my constituents really would want. I could lose voters in the next election. But it also could have the opposite effect. Some of the MAGA-minded people are, they're all along the mindset of federal government and liberals and this group and that group. It's a conspiracy. They're all working against us. They're, they rule the world from the shadows, etc., etc. So you want to be careful with what kind of messaging you put out to which person, because sometimes it could actually push them in the opposite direction and make them think, I need to make a stand against this. This is political intimidation or something like that. So again, I'm sorry if it sounds like a non-answer, but the one thing I know that will help if you call your representatives, is urging for more assistance to Ukraine and appealing to your congressman's humanity. The other side of it, with kind of pressure tactics, can work in instances, but it can also backfire in other instances, which is why I'm not really giving a recommendation one way or the other. I hope that answers your question. And thank you for a great question. Because, yeah, I mean, actually, that was a pretty detailed one that I had to sit and think about for a second. So thank you. All right. And I think that's all of our questions for now. So, unless we've got one more coming in. Oh, we have one more from Mitch Ashdown. Excuse me. Is the discharge petition a time-consuming process? I mean, I've never taken part in the, from start to finish, the entire process of a discharge petition in Washington, D.C. in the House of Representatives. So I don't have a definitive answer for that, but just like most anything else with Congress, might sound a little jaded to say, but I imagine it might take a little while. Yeah. Which, if that's the case, it also could prevent that from having legs. But if the votes are there, I think it would be similar to with McCarthy. I mean, his removal was a long, drawn out, debacle, basically. It could be something similar to that, but that's only if they don't have the votes and they need to flip people. If they do have the votes already, or they're very close to it, it could happen pretty quickly, I think. All right. Now then, let's go ahead and move over to the deep state map, because we're getting close to time and I'm going to need to stop the stream in a bit. In addition, I'm going to send my usual donation to Anton. Anyone who wishes to join me, feel free to do so. I personally do it over PayPal because Monobank sometimes does, sometimes doesn't work outside of Ukraine for me. And I'll be sending that right now. Okay, and that has been sent. All right, next let's look at the deep state map to get a look at the front lines and what the situation looks like right now. And yeah, we'll go from there. All right, and we're going to go full screen. All right, so here we are on the deep state map. Now, actually, before we go to Avdiivka, I'm going to check other parts of the front line, because the question that was asking about the left bank, I want to see what things have been like in Kherson over the last week. Pretty steady. And actually, although it was small, so I'm guessing it hasn't had much coverage. I see here back on from the 12th to the 13th, a small amount of the gray zone was cleared of Russian forces. So there was a little bit of pushback. Ukrainians pushing the Russians back slightly over here, but otherwise pretty much all the same, all steady. Over here near Robotne, let's see. Also steady. No major changes. And I'm going to back this up a full week. And let's go look at Avdiivka. Oh, actually, piece of good news. Earlier this month, a little bit more liberation. Went from blue to green. From went from no longer gray or blue, but to green, fully liberated. So that's good. Now, back to Avdiivka. And here is what our major focus is. And this is it covered a lot every week by multiple channels, including ours. And yeah, as you can see, guys, it's been slowly developing for months now, but it's just finally reaching the tipping point, and it's pretty bad. So unfortunately, this is why the withdrawal is necessary. Yeah, as you can see, according to the deep state map, well, there will probably be full reports of this very soon within the next 48 hours. But Avdiivka is, from the deep state perspective, from Ukrainian intelligence, it is occupied. So I will be discussing with the that's what it looks like. According to this map, at least, that is the situation now as of 6:32 a.m. Kyiv time, I'm assuming. Yeah. And that's why the withdrawal has been so incredibly important. We will get updates about how the soldiers of the 110th Mechanized Brigade, who we have been assisting, how they are faring, how they're doing. And I'll be putting that up once I get information about it. As I mentioned, I'll also be posting after this, since unfortunately Restream bugged for a second and didn't want to play the video. I'll be posting the video update of those current converters that were purchased for defending vehicles, because batteries, they already had a sufficient supply of batteries to make use of the anti-drone guns that we sent. So those were a higher priority. I'll post that video later today after I'm done with a few other streams and phone campaigns. Yeah, a sad day. And we'll go look at one more part of the front line right quick, because there's been not very much talk about it, and so that concerns me a little bit. Oh, let's see. Hello, Dubsy. Welcome to the stream. Yep. So in the Kupiansk direction, things seem like they've been pretty much the same. I don't think we're going to see a whole lot, but let's see if there have been any quiet changes to the map over here. Kind of like the small one we saw down in Kherson. Nope, pretty steady. All quiet. Yeah. Well, not quiet, but no changes on the northeastern front. Yeah. And that is the situation on the ground right now, guys. We will continue to support Ukraine. We will keep in touch with 110th Mechanized Brigade. There are other fundraisers we're also looking at. So we'll have an update soon about what we will be doing with the FPV drone fundraiser. And if the 110th Mechanized Brigade will be continuing to serve in the area near Avdiivka as they, regroup and they fortify, or if there will be a deployment to any other part of the front line. And also, I'm talking with a few people about additional fundraisers for other units and brigades and other regiments. So once I have updates on those, I'll let you know. We're going to continue doing what we've been doing and get equipment into the hands of defenders who need them, who need the equipment. All right. Now then. Oh, hold on. Let me go off of full screen. And I do see that we have an update. We went from, it was a little more than 13,000 up to 15,036 hryvnia. So to those who joined me in donating, thank you. It is very much appreciated. Every bit counts. And while this fundraiser, this is important, I want everyone to keep in mind that equally important is contacting your representatives. If you're an American, if you're a Canadian, if you are a citizen of any other country, and you want your government to be sending more, helping Ukraine more as soon as possible. I speak with Americans, Canadians, Aussies, German citizens, other citizens of the EU on a pretty regular basis about this stuff, guys. Ukrainians, of course. And it makes a difference. And Europe is needing to ramp up its own domestic, defense spending to meet NATO standards in a lot of places, a lot of countries. So, if you're from the EU, let your representative know, hey, things are happening. And especially if you're from a country that is near Russia, from the Baltics, from Poland, from Moldova, from Republic of Georgia and Moldova aren't in the EU, but they definitely are not keen on what's happening right now with Russia annexing territories from neighbors. Even Sweden, Finland, Germany. Germany is very important. We can all reach out to our representatives and we can all make a difference to get more aid, more billions of euros, dollars, pounds to Ukraine. And it does make a difference. And we do not want to see this be a situation like the Spanish Civil War was way back. Two completely different conflicts, but one thing in common is that a lot of people, private citizens, organizations from around the world got involved with that. And the end result was it was a complex conflict, but basically there was no good end to it. Those who were supporting the more left-leaning and not going to say good or bad one way or the other, but the side that lost the war, there wasn't sufficient support from governments or from organizations around the world. And then the fascist group that overthrew the monarchy, the dictatorship that controlled Spain for a little while, that led to some major issues. Russia is taking over these territories and they are introducing, authoritarianism, martial law in a way that is quite brutal in many of these places for anyone who is pro-Ukrainian. So definitely, it's definitely something that we need to get that support from governments. We need to work to get to the to make sure that we secure it. All right, everybody. So with that, let's see. We've gone over the map. We've gone over articles. I think that's about everything. I'm going to see if there are any last-minute questions. We're not going to do a video this week from Juzzy or any other. Well, actually, I don't know. Hold on. You know what? Maybe we'll close out with a bit of news from Juzzy or from another channel. Oh. And also, sorry, I just noticed I got a message regarding one of the questions that we answered. So I'll go ahead and show this real fast, because I know it's been almost, it's been more than 2 hours, I think, and I've got another call coming up soon. So let me do this. I'm going to share this video relating to the, relating to the Radarom kits from Lithuania, anti-drone kits, or general kits in support of Ukrainian soldiers. All right, we'll watch. Ooh, but wait. Okay, we're gonna watch this briefly, but there's no subtitles, and it appears to be in Lithuanian, so I'll put it up real fast. But we're just gonna watch a little bit so you can kind of see what the kit he's talking about looks like. Thank you for sending that link, Taz. All right, let's take a look. And then we'll really quickly listen to Juzzy, and then we're going to close out the stream.
Ką turim ir kam šį kartą yra renkami pinigai?
Nu, gal tada tiesiog paima po vieną, gal tada, šitą gal tada. Ir čia yra dalykai, oi, tu nieko.
Prašau.
Pradėkim gal nuo...
Aš tokį turiu namie.
Antidrono tiesiog. Čia yra visa lietuviška produkcija, padaryta, pagaminta Lietuvoje, ką mes dabar laikom savo rankose. Čia yra antidronas, kur dabar šiuo metu yra visi šito prašo, kur tiesiog tu gali apsiginti nuo drono puolimo, nuo FPV vadinamo drono ir taip toliau. Dedam ant liemenę, jau yra vežta jau į Ukrainą ne vieną. Kitas dalykas yra puolimo voje, ką mes...
Aš tokį turiu namie.
Okay, so we're just going to do that much. And as you can see here, they were kind of showcasing everything. Lithuania is not the United States, so obviously they've got just a plastic training rifle there that they're holding. But from what I can see, the kit seems to consist of a helmet with various different attachments. I'm assuming that's body armor. It's either body armor, or if it's not, it's just a vest, a tactical vest with radio equipment and other equipment, other supplies attached to it, fully loaded. Probably a med kit or something similar in the small box there, and then a few attachments. I believe the attachments are probably what they're showcasing here on that training rifle that would be included with the kit. So yeah, this might give you an example of Radarom and the kind of things that they are sending. So yeah, go check them out if you would like to. They are based in Lithuania. All right. Now then, let's...
Antidrono tiesiog, čia yra lietuvių...
Let's switch over now to... I'm running late for one thing, so let me send a message real fast. We're going to do the calls to Congress and EU Parliament right after this stream, everybody, and I'll put the link in the description, or I'm sorry, in the chat for Discord, so you can join us. Let's see. Now, there's an invite on the Tridents Against Tyrants Discord, but also it takes place on Rick the Ukrainian, his Discord server. So come join both of us. We both have Discords, and yeah, they're pretty nice place to hang out, have discussions with people, get caught up on information. Okay, let's see here. Let me grab that also. There it is. All right, we're going to do, yeah, we're going to do an update, for just a short one, partial update from reporting from Ukraine today, because never have done that, and he does good work. For anyone unfamiliar, reporting from Ukraine is one of the biggest reporters on Ukraine, on YouTube, online really, who translate into as many languages as possible. And when I say as many as possible, I mean they do like a lot, 20 or 30 something languages, including like Thai and Karen language from Myanmar, and German and Spanish and Portuguese, and of course they have it in English, French. Ironically, I don't think they have one in Ukrainian. They have it mostly for the international community. Yeah, go check them out. And here is a link to reporting from Ukraine. And I'm going to put it in the description too. And there we go. All right. Yeah. 15 minutes. That's more than enough time for us to get this. All right. All right. So let's take a look. We'll only watch a little bit.
Today there are a lot of updates from the Avdiivka direction. After Ukrainian reinforcements arrived in Avdiivka, many military analysts anticipated a rapid counterattack. The first scenario was a massive flank attack that was meant to slice off the Russian vanguard. The second scenario was to force Russians to overstretch their forces along the contact line. And the last one was the unblocking operation combined with the withdrawal. The Ukrainian High Command evaluated the situation and refused to conduct large-scale counteroffensive operations for four main reasons. The first reason was the conservation of manpower, as a deep penetration would require risking the lives of thousands of soldiers. The second reason was the lack of artillery shells. Ukrainians did not even have enough shells to hold the defense, so conducting a large-scale flank offensive would cost a lot of lives. The third reason was the fact that Russians have reinforced the Avdiivka group. If you still remember, at the start of the offensive operation 4 months ago in October, Russians allocated 40,000 troops. According to the Tavris Group of Forces spokesman, Russian forces relocated tens of thousands of troops from other directions to sustain the offensive operation, and right now, Russian forces have about 50,000 troops here. The last reason is the weather conditions. Attacking from the north or even along the entire contact line would mean fighting in the fields, which have become increasingly hard to cross. That is why the Ukrainian High Command decided to conduct an unblocking operation combined with a withdrawal. The decision was not received positively by the Ukrainian soldiers who were hoping to save Avdiivka, as many of them had fought here since day one.
Oh, yes, and the 3rd Separate Assault Brigade. Actually, this is a perfect map because that symbol with the horse and the rider on top. Actually, did he just say it? I don't think he mentioned the names, but that's going to be a symbol of our guys, 110th Mechanized Brigade, who have been fighting there. So this is a perfect graphic, great way to close this out. There's our guys, 110th Mechanized, the emblem with the 3 lines on it, the yellow lines, that's the 3rd Separate Assault Brigade. Yulia and also now Rick have been assisting them with fundraisers. I think the newest fundraiser Rick is doing, if I'm not mistaken, assists the 3rd Separate Assault Brigade. Sorry, I see Sousa's joke in chat. And anyway, the 3rd Separate Assault Brigade is, Yulia's been doing fundraisers with them for a while. Rick is doing one. And if go check out Yulia's channel, show some support for them. They are helping our guys. Literally, they're meeting here. You know, they're both in Avdiivka now. They're fighting together. They're making the evacuation together. So 3rd Separate Assault Brigade and 110th Mechanized Brigade. Please show both of them some love, everybody. And Sousa's comment here was, I speak so many languages, also fluent in German and Mandarin, which I'm not. I'm fluent in English, Spanish, and I can speak conversational Japanese. Boku wa Nihongo o waruku hanashimasu. Nihongo o benkyou shite imasu. So I study it a bit, but haven't had to use it in a while. But yeah, I am actually working on learning Mandarin just to speak it. So English, Spanish, a little Japanese, and I'm working on making time to learn some Ukrainian and Mandarin. And that's my my language repertoire, and a tiny bit of French. Anyway.
Who were hoping to save Avdiivka, as many of them had fought here since day one. However, it was still the right decision. The first step of the operation involved a massive counterattack in the central part of Avdiivka. As I alluded to in my previous report, the newly arrived Ukrainian fighters from the 3rd Assault Brigade attacked Russian forces south of the railways with Max Pro armored vehicles with machine guns and temporarily pushed Russians 150 meters. By taking upon themselves the Russian vanguard, Ukrainians alleviated the pressure on many critical zones and started the process of withdrawal. The first group of Ukrainian forces that received the order to withdraw was the one that held defense at the water filtration station. As you can see, they were very far from the main Ukrainian positions and were facing attacks from 3 sides. Before the Ukrainian High Command decided to withdraw, it was beneficial for Ukrainians to hold such positions because they stretched the front line and made it harder for Russians to advance. The second group of Ukrainians to withdraw was the one holding an extensive trench network in the vineyards. The last two groups to withdraw were holding virtually an all-round defense on the former air defense base and fortifications under the bridge. The situation here was extremely dire. The order to withdraw was given too late, so Ukrainians incurred losses during withdrawal and had to leave 6 wounded soldiers on the base. Ukrainian Tavrisk Group of Forces commander admitted that several Ukrainians were taken captive. According to some Russian sources, there are 2,000 Ukrainians in the southern part, while according to others, there are up to 3,000 troops. Russian analysts also claimed that up to 30% of Ukrainian forces have already been evacuated. Russian sources claim that in total, there are no more than 8,000 Ukrainians in the Avdiivka direction. Given that there are 50,000 Russians in the same area, Russians outnumber Ukrainians 6-1. After the Ukrainian reinforcements conducted a successful counterattack, the Russians intensified their assaults even more.
Okay, actually, we are going to watch the whole thing just because this is relevant information to everything we've been doing with fundraisers the last few weeks, months, yeah, at least a month. And so let me go back. Yeah, and these numbers, don't know. I'd have to go and verify them, but reporting from Ukraine usually does pretty good work, so I'm sure he's putting in, double checking. If this is true, I mean, this kind of highlights the current personnel issue that Ukraine is starting to feel, and Ukraine does need more soldiers, a mobilization, and if possible, some way to get at least a few more people from abroad who have the skills and desire to assist with the International Legion. But the International Legion can only help with so much. At the end of the day, if this war is going to be won by Ukraine, I think that a mobilization would be necessary. And that's something that Ukrainian society, the people of Ukraine, and the political representation of Ukraine, both together, will have to discuss and negotiate. Remember, everyone, this is not a game. It's not a sport. This is war. This is very real. Lives are being lost. Territory is being stolen by the Russians. So Ukraine, whatever the Ukrainian people, their will, that is what we have to respect more than anything as far as continuing this fight or not continuing this fight. All the rest of us, we do everything we can to support Ukraine, but at the end of the day, the people of Ukraine are the ones who will make this decision. And I still feel confident Ukraine can win this if Ukraine receives the support that it needs. All right, let's continue and finish this up. Then we're going to jump over to the Discord.
Ukrainians 6-1. After the Ukrainian reinforcements conducted a successful counterattack, the Russians intensified their assaults even more. A Ukrainian fighter from the 24th Battalion reported that Russians now use assault groups consisting of up to 50 soldiers, which they have not seen even during the peak heat of the battle for Bakhmut. This, combined with the devastating Russian artillery and airstrikes, allowed Russians to regain control over the highway and even move beyond it into the fields. The main goals of the Russian forces are to move towards the village of Lastochkini and the second supply road to completely cut off Ukrainian forces. According to the latest updates, Ukrainian fighters from the 3rd Assault Brigade assumed their positions in Lastochkini and conducted a number of drone strikes, followed up with counterattacks. They reported that they also destroyed a huge Russian column north of Avdiivka, which saved Lastochkini and gave Ukrainians up to 3 days of relative freedom of movement. This was confirmed in the latest report of prominent Russian analysts, which stated that Ukrainian supply lines were not cut off and Ukrainians continued to move through the gully. The Ukrainian Tavrisk Group of Forces spokesman also confirmed that Ukrainian forces currently maintain multiple supply roads into Avdiivka. The Ukrainian Tavarist group of commanders stated that his main goal right now is to continue conducting a successful withdrawal to the previously prepared defensive positions. Ukrainians have built another defense line right behind Avdiivka, and in my latest strategic update, I have looked into all 4 lines of fortification west of Avdiivka. I analyzed how Ukrainians are leveraging the local geography of the region to create even more problems for the Russians, and why it is impossible to achieve rapid deep penetration in this region. I have also discussed the Ukrainian defensive strategy on all other front lines. I have enabled a 7-day free trial on my Patreon page for everyone who wants to check it out for free. The link to my Patreon page is in the description.
Okay. That pretty smart way to set that up. Well, as you all know, Patreon, many of us aren't really using it as much for anything pro-Ukraine or at all. I don't hate Patreon. I think it's just another company, but of course, our preference is to use Buy Me a Coffee. Reporting from Ukraine does do good work and get word out to a lot of people about Ukraine. So if you want to, go check it out. You're not gonna get any positive or negative, judgmental glares from me if you're using Patreon. I've used it in the past. I don't use it really much for Ukraine specific stuff right now, but I still have Patreon for several other groups and things that I'm involved with from the past. So yeah, go check them out on Patreon if you're on Patreon. And just so I'm giving full credit, this again is reporting from Ukraine. Great channel. He is Ukrainian, multiple languages. Check out his English language channel or any of the many, many, many languages that he's got. Yeah, here's a full list, and you can see there's a lot of them. Your language is probably on here. Not all of them are still up to date. Some of them need new hosts. So if you speak any of these languages and you notice that his channel is no longer updating for that language, send him an email, because I know he's still looking for people to fill those positions. This is a multi-person effort. And most importantly, anyone who knows someone who is Hungarian, this is literally Jelentesek Ukrajnabol. This is like one of only 3. And guys, I've looked a while on the Hungarian language internet. I don't speak Hungarian, but we all see what's happening in Hungary. Why would I not be looking at it? Why would I not be learning more about the social media presence, the culture, the journalism in Hungary, the politics? And guys, it's bad. Okay, when I was doing my research, it felt like nothing but Fox News in Hungarian language. That went for big media, franchises, large journalistic news stations, all the way down to like smaller, 10 to 50,000 subscriber YouTube channels and vloggers. So there's not a lot of support for Ukraine. If you know any Hungarians who need to hear reasons why supporting Ukraine is important and urge their government to do something about it, or urge the opposition to unite and do something about it, recommend them this channel. All right. And I'll put the general YouTube link for reporting from Ukraine down here as well. All right, and with that, everyone, we're gonna. All right, with that, we're gonna call it good for today. Thank you for joining. And I'm going to put another link in the chat for those who want to join in on the call over Discord. So one moment while I do that. And that link should work, but if it doesn't for any reason, then let me also just send a general invite for Rick's Discord. All right, so yeah, try either one of those links, guys. I hope to see a few of you over there. I'm going to hop over now, and yeah, we're going to see how many people join us and jump into making calls to Congress and Parliament. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Thank you, mods, for helping out. Anna, Enhil, Tone, you guys are great. And I will see you all next time, Tridents. Slava Ukraini. And, oh, one more thing. I never have mentioned this on stream before. In an hour and a half, I'll also be joining the shills for a stream. So if you are someone who knows the shills and you want to join in on the what we're going to be talking about, we will be we will be talking with Greg Terry. So yeah, let me put a link in the chat, and really fast, here it is. Greg Terry Experience joins Starsky and the Shills Gang. So I'll be joining Greg and the rest of the Shills in an hour and a half for that stream. Please join us, everybody. Join us on Discord here in a sec. And I will see you all next time. All right, Slava Ukraini, and have a great day.